It's Halloween. Somebody get excited around here, because if it's Halloween, that means it's almost Thanksgiving. If it's almost Thanksgiving, that pretty much means it's almost Christmas. That's the way I look at it, but I'm an eternal optimist. Appreciate you guys joining us. I want to know in the chat, and this isn't the poll, but I want to know, what is the best Halloween candy there is? We all know the answer is Reese's Cups. All right, we all know that's the answer. But we want to know what you guys are thinking out there. What's your favorite, and what are you dressing up as if you're dressing up tonight, whether that's going trick-or-treating or going to a Halloween party? But before we get into this absolutely just crammed show, dang, Blaine, Yankees.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Good night.
We've talked about it.
Good night. Blew it.
Well, you blew the game. That fifth inning was absolutely just one of the worst innings I've seen in a long time. I feel bad for the players. At the end of the day, Yankees successful season. You lost in the World Series. I mean, could have been a lot worse. Feel bad for the players. Feel bad for the coaches. Hell, feel bad for the fans. But there's a group of people out there I don't feel bad for. And whoever's a social media person at the Yankees, I hope it hurts worse than anything else in your life. I hope it keeps you up at night because it's your fault because of what you did. The reason the Yankees lost the World Series is your fault because you decided last year when I gave you nothing but compliments, a cabinet full of compliments, and the only thing I said was it wasn't even that bad of a thing in my opinion.
I thought you were right.
You didn't go get enough to win a World Series at the trade deadline, and you wanted to cut that. And I'm not a forgiving person. Okay, I remember certain things. If you slight me, I'll remember forever. So, Yankees players, I feel bad. Social media Yankees, I hope it's the worst thing you've ever experienced in your life.
Well, you were the inspiration for the Grudge movies. I agree with everything that you just said except one thing. If the Yankees don't win the World Series, I don't think their fans view it as a successful season. I don't think their fans are just happy with getting the World Series. And that's what's happened. That's what happens when you win, 26 World Series? I mean, it's insane like that. But, it's one thing to just get beat. If the Dodgers would have, started hot last night and they hit a bunch of home runs and doubles or they shoved on the mound, that's one thing. But, Cone, that fifth inning was one of the worst displays of defense at the professional level, starting with the dropped, it was a line drive. I know that ball knuckles. I understand. I played third base. I know it's not as easy as it looks on TV, but you got to make that catch in center field. Then Volpe, who was the hero of the game before, you got to make that play at shortstop, and then it just unraveled. We always talk about a lot of teams lose games, they don't win them. The Yankees lost that game last night, but it was a series, and the Dodgers were the better team.
Man, you know what made that fifth inning so much worse is right before Betts reached in the inning, the pitch sequence against Shohei Ohtani by Garrett Cole was masterful.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely masterful to lead to an out there. And they were Yankees up 5-0 at that point. And I thought, man, that pitch sequence right there, I think is how it's going for the Yankees. Immediately after that, 5 unearned runs. Was it all 5 of them were unearned to tie the game?
And, we were talking about some in All Access today. And I think, I wonder how many people out there agree with us. I'm a Braves fan. So, obviously dislike the Yankees very strongly. And I'm supposed to dislike the Dodgers very strongly. And overall I do. But it's really hard for me not to like the guys on the Dodgers team. It's really hard to not like Mookie Betts. It's really hard to not like Freddie Freeman, even after he left the Braves. It's hard to not like Shohei, right? Ohtani. So it's kind of weird because there's villains in New York in the past. I think it's a little bit better. I don't hate Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton, but it's the Yankees are always villainous to me. And the Dodgers have been somewhat villainous and, they spend all this money and do all this. But I like the guys on the roster.
I'm proud of Freddie Freeman, man. I'm proud of Freddie Freeman. He wanted to stay in Atlanta, and he was good to Atlanta in the down years while they rebuilt around him, and he won a World Series in Atlanta. He carried the World Series home run streak to L.A., It was 6 straight games, the first 4 in this one, and I think 2 from Atlanta. MVP of the series, congratulations to him. What about Juan Soto now, though?
Yeah, Juan Soto is, and look, I get it. You're becoming a free agent. You're out there. You want to say you're open for business to everybody. I would still be a little surprised if he left the Yankees, but the Braves did make a move. They sent Jorge Soler to the Angels, and they're getting Griffin Canning, the pitcher, in return. So Soler left, went to the Braves, got traded, left, came back. Now he's gone again. I mean, the offseason's already started.
He'll be back next September.
But like we said, the Dodgers are World Series champions after taking down the Yankees. Ryan Clark dresses up as Bill Belichick for Halloween. The costume's going to scare you. And we break down the scariest college football matchups for Week 10, and there is a decent amount of them, people. I'm Jake Crain. It's Halloween, but I dressed up as myself here on Crain & Company. Obviously, Auburn has had a pretty disappointing season so far in year 2 under Coach Hugh Freeze. And sometimes the truth hurts, but it's necessary when it is so blatantly obvious. The season isn't over, however. There are still opportunities to end on a high note with 4 games left. But if you're an Auburn fan, there is an underlying current of optimism. And I want to point it out. Because when the ship is truly sinking, what do? You get off of it, whether it be by lifeboat or just jumping your ass in the water. But you don't see Auburn's recruits leaving, our younger players on the roster mailing it in. In fact, their bond to the Plains seems to be growing stronger. They want to be the group to fix it and to get Auburn off the downhill slide that they seem to have been stuck on for a while on the field. Hugh Freeze and his staff aren't just recruiting a certain type of player, they are recruiting a certain type of person. And that is just as important, especially in this circumstance. Because it's easy to go join one of the big dogs right now or go with who is hot and just keep the train on rolling. It's probably a better business decision. But if you truly want to get the come up, you need alpha males who not only want the moment, but they need it. They have to have it. The type of guy who wants to be the start of something special, not just the continuation of it. Now, what Auburn lacks the most right now is that clutch gene. And that's one thing to give effort. That should be expected. It gets you in the door. But it's another to have the confidence to excel when the moment is at its biggest. There are other problems when it comes to in-game situations, and Auburn fans know that. The coaching hasn't been great. But football is a game that is won by players while coaches watch and talk about it, and it always will be. You can have the best scheme and practice structure, but if you don't have the dogs, you will always be fighting uphill. It's a mixture of talent and guts. Auburn fans should be thankful for older leadership on this team because they don't screw up off the field, and they're great people, it seems, for the most part. But as upsetting as it may be to some, you are judged on wins and losses at this level. And to that effect, it hasn't been good enough from this group. But having said that, this younger group of guys are already on the team, and the ones that are coming in are hungry as hell, and they want to be the change. And it will be that attitude plus their ability that can send Auburn back to where they feel like they rightfully belong. So it's okay to lay down and bleed a while. The Auburn fans have done that. But don't let Auburn get up, because when they do, hell's coming with them. David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, my brother, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver, Blaine Crain. And people say, oh, Jake, you're from Auburn. You're an Auburn fan. You're just going to always see the best in Auburn. And I'm harder on Auburn than anybody. I think that's one of the things that separates us from other people is that, I'm not going to just sunshine pump stuff about Auburn or what I hope. I'm going to tell you what I really think. But when I look at the reaction of some of these younger guys, the Jalen Crawfords, the DeMarcus Riddicks, the Keldrick Falks, you look offensively, some of the wide receiver group that they have, Connor Lew, some of these young offensive linemen, and the guys they have coming in, and the way they talk, and the way they act, even after Auburn loses a game. Cone, you've been in as many locker rooms as I have. Blaine, you have too. It takes a certain type of person to be able to come in and want to fix something. And I think Hugh Freeze is tapping into that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, right after Oklahoma State, I think you can make the case that Auburn's been the second most disappointing team in college football this season, at least for me. Not that I thought the ceiling was super high with Peyton Thorne returning at quarterback, but that's just how much faith I have in Hugh Freeze when you're looking down the barrel of 3-5 right now, 8 weeks into the season. Now, a couple things that are newsworthy since we're talking about Auburn right now. I mean, one is my thoughts on Auburn are you can't care as much about football as Auburn does and not get it right eventually. I think that's really how I want to phrase that because, and I hope that that's with Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze is a fan of our show. I like Hugh Freeze personally, but even if it's not, you can't care as much about football as they do on the plane.
The question is eventually how long
to get it right. And what does that mean? Does that mean you create a dynasty like Alabama had? I don't know if that's possible, but they're going to get it right. They're going to be really good at football. A couple things while we're talking about them. New athletic director you guys got from Georgia Southern, Jared Banco coming in, and now Chris Davis going to be the athletic director at Georgia Southern. He's a friend of ours. He's a friend of the show, so that's good. But, right now, I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on the Vanderbilt game specifically. I know you're thinking holistically right now, big picture, but 3-5 right this second. You're going to play Vanderbilt, but this is such like an unusual thing right now. This is a 5-3 Vanderbilt team. Auburn favored at home by more than a touchdown. The touchdown plus the hook right now at 7.5. And it's sort of like a lose-lose in that if you beat Vanderbilt, you don't get the benefit of that being some great conference win because of the brand you're beating. But if you lose the game, it's like it sort of can get taken out of context later in the year or next year that, wait, this was a really good Vanderbilt team that you actually beat. Yeah, and,
when I look at kind of going into this game, the momentum you got from beating Kentucky, and you're right, David. I mean, if the goal at Auburn, it shouldn't be questioning whether you can beat Vanderbilt or not. This Vanderbilt team is different than what we've seen in the past, and I want to get into the scheme of it in a second and what I think the best way to go about it is and what Vanderbilt has to do. But if you're Auburn, it's about creating momentum heading into the offseason. So it's, getting that number in front of the loss number. You're 3-5 right now. If you can win this one, you're 4-5. Most likely you're going to lose to Alabama on the road, which that's your 6th loss, which means you got ULM and Texas A&M, which Texas A&M is going to be tough. Hell, to be honest with you, ULM's a lot tougher than what some people thought. So it's a race to try and get to 6-6, which isn't acceptable at Auburn. But you do want to be able to hold this recruiting class together, like I mentioned. You want to be able to make sure you don't get rated from the transfer portal. And I don't think they will. It'll go bad either way. But creating that momentum heading into the offseason, Blaine, and giving Auburn fans something to be excited about on the football field that in turn will continue to produce, a level that Auburn feels like when I go into a room to recruit a guy or I try and get a guy from the transfer portal, hey, look at what we're building over here. This is some proof of concept. Not all of it, but some proof of concept.
Yeah, you got to be excited what Hugh Freeze is doing when it comes to recruiting standpoint. But one thing I do question is, we talk about the older guys, and we know the older guys can't really get it done on the field when it matters the most. Why not play the younger guys more?
And they are. They had 6 freshmen on the field,
right? And that's how you keep guys from going in the transfer portal. Is one of the reasons is you put them on the football field, especially when you need them. And right now, what are you really scared of losing if you're Auburn in the transfer portal? What are you really afraid of losing? So right now, that's the same thing with Peyton Thorne. And look, the future is brighter for Auburn. I think you can see that. Everything, the breadcrumbs are starting to line up to create a loaf. And sooner or later, Auburn is going to be fine. But right now, what Hugh Freeze is doing on the field, it's bad. We know that. It's getting better, but the personnel's not there. He's selling really crappy cars to good families.
Yeah, he's selling them
he's putting in a dream, a belief, and he's making kids believe in the future. And right now, without a money sign, putting a label that on a check, that's extremely hard to do. Yeah. So it's a positive you can look at for Auburn. Like, you're playing this bad on the field, and you're still recruiting this good.
Mm-hmm. So, imagine what just starts going good. But this game against Vanderbilt, there's a couple things I look at. When you watch the way Vanderbilt operates offensively, and I get asked all the time, I go on these other shows, how is Vanderbilt able to do this? Well, Vanderbilt's personnel is better than in any recent time I can remember. Overall, line of scrimmage, skill position. But they're unbelievably smart in the way they go about it. We watch Army and Navy and Air Force and maybe some of these schools that can't get all the top offensive linemen and all these guys that other places can possibly get run the triple option. Why? Because it negates some of the athleticism that they're going against. Now, Vanderbilt doesn't run the triple option truly, but they run a version of it out of the gun. They get in that diamond set. They have a lot of triple option tendencies. There's a lot of horizontal movement pre-snap and post-snap across the line of scrimmage that slows down the eyes of the defense a little bit, which slows down the feet of the defense. Because even though Vanderbilt's personnel about as well as they have been since I can remember, they're still most of the time, at least right now, not going to be as athletic as the defenses they face in the Southeastern Conference. So one way to kind of slow that down is to do what they do, right? Line up in those formations. Tim Beck does a really good job of it. It's what kept them on the field against Alabama. But Vanderbilt doesn't take a lot of shots down the field. They operate in about a 15 to 20-yard box, and they're really, really good at doing that. So if you're Auburn, how do you get to Diego Pavia, who's beaten Hugh Freeze? He's going for a 3-peat against Hugh Freeze and a 2-peat against Auburn. How do you speed Diego Pavia up? How do you throw him off this game? You've got to score early. You've got to get in front of Vanderbilt early, probably by at least 10 points, to make them start having to get out of their schedule and pushing the ball down the field. Not that Vanderbilt can't do it, not that Pavia can't do it, but that's not the way they want to play. So we can look at Auburn's defense and say, hey, you're playing better, but if you want to really get Vanderbilt on their back foot, score early, put them behind the 8 ball, because I don't think they can hit chunk plays down the field consistently in the pass game to be able to beat you. then obviously it's getting them off schedule in the 3rd and 7s and 3rd and 8s. Why did Texas beat them the way they did? Because Vanderbilt was living in 3rd and 6 and more. Why was Vanderbilt able to win the time of possession against Alabama the way they did? Because Vanderbilt was living in 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 4. And the way that offense operates, when you do negate the athleticism somewhat of the defense, you can hit those balls in the flat, right? Diego Pavia is scrambling for 40 yards. When it's 3rd and 3, it's a first down. When it's 3rd and 9, it's not. That and getting the ball out in space against Vanderbilt's defense and letting your athletes overwhelm them over time, that's where I think the difference is going to come. But look, I'm telling you right now, if you're an Auburn fan, I'm not super confident in Auburn covering 7.5 against Vanderbilt, but I think this is going to be a war, dude.
I honestly, I couldn't believe that the line was 7.5, even being on the road, even being in Jordan-Hare. When you talk about ways to speed up Diego Pavia and taking that early lead for Auburn, I think in addition to that, you have to shut him down on the ground. You have to shut his ground game down. I mean, one, they fought back against Texas, right, which is a superior team and superior talent right now to Auburn, and two, we've seen Auburn blow some leads. So it's not enough just to get a lead against Diego Pavia and this Vanderbilt team. You've got to figure out a way to shut down him running so that he feels forced to throw it, and you also have a 7 or 10 point lead.
And I did have somebody tell me the spread looks like the way it is because there's some questions about Pavia's health. Now, I haven't seen anything. Now, if that happens, look, the kid they got is the backup. Remember, he was at Utah. Nate Johnson, I think's his name. He can fly. He can absolutely fly. Struggles to throw the ball. Came in against Florida. Earlier in the year, a couple years ago, and was able to do some things, but he'd turn the ball over. He'd fumble it. If Pavia can't go, this is a totally different story, but Auburn's got to turn around and hand the ball to Jarquez Hunter a lot.
Yeah, that's the game I would play. You got to know who your best player is, and right now that's Jarquez Hunter. I mean, leading the SEC in rushing. The kid's averaging more than 7 a carry almost. But that offensive line is crazy. You look at this one, Vanderbilt's never out of a football game. All right, especially this year. I don't care how many points you are up. Those guys believe in every second that they're not out of it, and Auburn is known for blowing football games. This is going to come down to what team makes the least mistakes. Peyton Thorne can't put the ball in the other team's hand, which is he's extremely good at, which I thought he did well against Kentucky, not doing that. And you have to trust your players, Hugh Freeze. You have to trust Jarquez Hunter. If you are in the 10-yard line, in the red zone, and I'm an Auburn fan, and I don't see Jarquez Hunter get the ball at least twice, I am going to be livid. But I do think Vanderbilt, this is a sneaky game. I do not like the line. If anything, I like the under.
Yeah, I've heard under. I was talking with Zach Blackerby from Locked On Auburn about this when I went on their show. I really like the under in this game because I think Auburn, after pounding the rock last week, is going to do it again with Jarquez. They're going to feed him a lot. And then Vanderbilt, with what they do with Pavia, with those triple option tendencies, they want to run the ball as well. They want to stay on schedule. Clark Lee and Tim Beck know that. But as far as moving forward during this season, I think Vanderbilt's playing with house money, which is the scariest thing overall because, I mean, it's already a win with what they've done. But I don't think they think like that. And to your point, I know it's not enough for them to get up double digits. It's not about making Vanderbilt quit. I don't think Vandy's going to quit. I think you can make an argument Kentucky laid down in the second half last week, but Vanderbilt's not going to quit. It's just throwing them off schedule, making them dribble with their left hand, and letting them not get to their spots, right? Like we hear in basketball. Don't let a shooter get to a spot. Diego Pavia, he wants to turn it into kind of an etch-a-sketch game, right? I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go there, then I'm going to go there, and I'm going to throw it there, and I'm going to run it here, and I'm going to turn around, I'm going to hand it here. Like you can't, you've got to put him in a position where it's, hey, it's 3rd and 8, you're passing. You're passing the ball, all right? And then when we rush, we've got to be smart in our pass rush lanes, and we'll see if Auburn can do that. But you may be going to the game. You may not be going to the game. If you're going to any game, it doesn't even have to be sports. Maybe you're going to a concert. Any live event, we know there are a few things better than being at a sporting event live. You need to check out our friends over at Game Time. They give you the best deals with the Game Time app. It's a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all kinds of events online. And with their new feature called Game Time Picks, getting tickets for your favorite live events got that much easier because they filter out all the fluff to show you incredible deals on the best seats, and you can view the view from your seat before you buy your ticket. So there's no questions about, is there a column in my way? Am I not going to be able to see? Am I in the nosebleeds or am I courtside? It doesn't matter. We're here in Nashville. We got the Preds. We got the Titans. We got the Commodores, Vandy. Now you can say that. That's pretty fun. But concerts all the time. The Game Time app, I'm telling you guys, up to an hour before the event, this is the spot to get your tickets online. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. How do you do it? Well, it's pretty simple. You download the Game Time app from the App Store. You create an account. Use code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, for $20 off your first purchase. Again, download the app, create an account, use code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, because it's free money and it helps us. All right, you get that $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, fellas?
Game time.
I don't know why.
I don't know why you just absolutely ruined that.
God!
All right, let's phone lines open at 2:45 p.m. Central, 1-855-236-3228. Let's get to the chat before we get to some scary.
All right, chat, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you donate, it's on topic. It will get read, especially you, CD Nighthawk. It definitely will. We're going to start the day off with Uncommon 13. What's up, brother? He says, guys, I don't understand the line. Help me out. 7.5 laying for Vandy. Auburn hadn't won a game that mattered all year. Tell me how Auburn covers this spread.
Well, this is Diego Pavia hurt? This is the first thing I think about when I see a line, and I'm like, well, I call it the Cam Rising effect. Like, I see a line, and I'm like, well, that one looks funny. Because the first injury you think about that is the most detrimental in football is what? Quarterback, right? So you're like, all right, which injury could affect the line the most? Not a defensive end, not a wide receiver, not a kicker even. It's quarterback. So if that line's like that, do I feel like if Vandy's at full strength and Auburn's at full strength, I don't care where they're playing, that Auburn should be a 7.5-point favorite over Vanderbilt? No, I don't. Somebody's got to be hurt. Or there's got to be at least a question. What I'm interested to see is tomorrow, whenever, the two twins under the casino in Vegas with their ponytails tied together that are oracles find out whether Diego Pavia is playing or not, is that line going to start coming down? If that line starts getting bet down and before the game it's at 4.5 or 5, he's probably playing. But if it stays at 7, 7.5, even 6.5, I think there's a question that all of a sudden we're going to turn on the TV on Saturday and right before kickoff and everybody's running out, everybody's dancing, everybody's feeling good, all of a sudden it's announced, hey, Diego Pavia isn't playing, which that would totally throw off everything. So I'm a little bit nervous about betting this game because if that line's like that, then something smells funny, at least in my opinion.
Let's go to JD. Hashtag ask the show. Fellas, if Auburn had started playing the young players sooner, does it affect their confidence in a good or bad way? Would it help get the older guys' loser mentality out of the program?
That's tough for me to answer because it's not like you can just... There's some older guys that are playing good. Like, I'm not saying it's all the older guys. I'm talking about a lot of the times this year, if you watch, the older guys that have made the most mistakes have that C on their jersey. And so to me, it's not everybody, all right, but it's a decent amount. You can't just say, hey, all right, all the young guys are going out there and playing, regardless, because you still want to try and win the game. It's maybe a guy that's a 3 is now a 2 when you're putting him out there a little bit more. Maybe a guy that's a 2, you open it up in practice, you open up some competition, let him go out there and get some reps with the 1s. Anybody who says, well, they just pulled this guy off a scout team this week and now he's going to go play, that rarely happens. Like going straight from scout team, which is at least the way we did it, Blaine and David, 3rd team, 4th team, and beyond, that's the scout team because the 1s and 2s are going to get reps against that scout team. Very rarely does that happen. So it's hard for me to sit here and say that I think they've been doing it. I think they've been infusing it, but you can't just do it all at once.
No, you also don't want to send the message that you've quit on this year in terms of the outcome of football games. Hey, wins and losses don't matter. All that matters is playing time for young guys for next year. The guys in that locker room, all of them know which young guys should be getting more playing time and which ones don't make sense.
For sure. One more.
All right, let's go to the common man. He says, will Clark Lee be the head coach of Vanderbilt next year?
Yes. Yes, he will. I think he's in it for the long haul. I really do, and I think they got something cooking over there. I mean, one of the things that impressed me the most was after the Texas game in the locker room, Clark Lee, the first thing that he said, other than, I'm proud of the way you fought, was almost isn't good enough around here anymore. That wasn't a, guys, man, congrats. You played Texas close. And think about it, they beat Alabama early in the year. It would be very easy for Clark Lee to get up there and say, guys, we beat Alabama, we beat Kentucky on the road, we almost beat Texas. What a phenomenal year. That's not what he said. He said almost isn't good enough around here anymore. That fires me up, dude. Like that, you have that mindset of veteran. That is contagious because there's no more. Not that you don't say, guys, played your ass off, fought your guts out. We came up short. It's fine saying that. Everybody knows that, but it's still not acceptable. I always say, hey, working hard shouldn't be something a coach has to congratulate you on all the time. My washing machine works hard. That should get you through the door. Effort should never be questioned, right? Attention to detail should never be questioned. It's about execution on the field. So I really like that remark from Clark Lee. I liked what he's done with Barton Simmons as well, bringing him along. What I'm more interested in Tim Beck, the OC, because does he get a job? Does Tim Beck get a head coaching job somewhere after what he's done this year at Vanderbilt? So it's not a super scary time at Vandy, maybe for the coordinators. But David, let's get into some scary matchups.
Okay, we have our graphic, right?
Yeah,
I think you're up first for scariest matchups.
Let's throw up our graphic. The scariest matchups of this weekend. And to me, the way I viewed this was, if you have something on the line, I know everybody has something on the line, but if you have championship aspirations still heading into Week 10, and if I'm a Texas A&M fan, this weekend for me is horrifying. There's no candy when anybody answers the door. All right, it's walking around the graveyard. The headless horseman is riding around in the neighborhood because of multiple reasons. One, South Carolina athletically, and I include them this offensively, they can beat you. They're good enough to score against A&M. But it's that defensive front seven that I think can negate the legs of Marcel Reed somewhat. And if he's the guy they go with, which I think he's going to be the guy they go with, but I thought that before the Missouri game, and Connor Wegman started off and looked like Captain America, they can make Marcel Reed have to beat him through the air, which he can. I think he throws the ball well enough. We saw what he did at Florida. But the scariest part about this for A&M is you're coming off a massive win against LSU. And how many times have we said on the show, guys, it's harder to get guys up after a big win than a tough loss, right? It's just human nature. But South Carolina is also bipolar. They've got split personality disorder. They are literally the guy from James McAvoy from Split. 1 minute, they're a terrible team that's getting run through, right, by Ole Miss, right? Then all of a sudden they're beating Kentucky 31-6. They're almost beating Alabama. You don't know what you're going to get with South Carolina. I'm not saying I think A&M loses Cone or Blaine, but I think this is a very, very circumstantially scary matchup for Texas A&M going into hostile territory. And Shane and them are starting to feel themselves a little bit at South Carolina, right? We've seen what they've done lately. Lenoris is getting a little confidence. But what do y'all got? What y'all scariest one?
Who's up next? Am I up next? Or are you up next?
Pull the graphic, whichever one comes.
Oh, there we go. All right. Yes. Well, I like yours a lot. Now, Texas A&M, this is 1 week after taking sole ownership of the SEC, the only unbeaten team in the conference. And Brett Norsworthy asked me yesterday on Sports 56, what would be a bigger upset, South Carolina beating Texas A&M in Columbia or Arkansas beating Ole Miss? I thought it was a great question. That's why I'm going to pick Arkansas hosting Ole Miss as my scariest matchup of the weekend for a few obvious reasons. We know Ole Miss is 6-2, no margin for error, have to thread the needle to make the college football playoff. And really, I think the SEC championship is most likely already out of play. But you could still make the college football playoff. You have to win out, and there should be no thinking ahead to the Georgia games or any other games like that, because this Arkansas team that you're going to go play can certainly beat you. And here's why this matchup is really scary. It's not just because, Arkansas is 5-3 and their quarterback, Taylon Green, looks very capable. It's because Arkansas can now beat you in several different ways, right? Think back to that Tennessee game. The final on that was 19-14. And we just saw an Ole Miss game coming off Oklahoma where the final of that was 26-14. And even when they played Kentucky, that loss was 20-17. So Arkansas, from a defensive standpoint, with what they did against Tennessee, look, Ole Miss, they can beat you 14-7, or they can beat you 17-10, something like that, with just having a suffocating defensive performance, especially the way Ole Miss has looked on offense. But flip that around. What happens if they get into a shootout? You don't think Bobby Petrino and this quarterback, Taylon Green, can beat you 38-35 or 50-47 if need be? That's what should be so scary for Ole Miss. Not only is your back against the wall, you're fighting for your life, but this Arkansas team can win in multiple ways. And I think this is going to be one of the best matchups of the weekend.
And I know you pretty much are who you are at this point, but when is this Ole Miss offensive line going to come on?
Yeah.
I mean, we said the same thing about LSU when it comes to run blocking. I think LSU and Ole Miss's offensive line have been two of the biggest disappointments from a position group standpoint. So this week, going up against a Travis Williams coach defense, which he'll take gambles, he'll stunt, he'll slant. I thought he damn near pitched a perfect game against Tennessee. Arkansas is coming for your throat on defense. So at what point is Ole Miss going to nut up on offense and that offensive line going to start putting their face into somebody and moving the ball on the ground and not just hoping Jackson Dart can take off every now and then and run the ball? So at some point, Ole Miss got to grow their ass up front on the offensive line, because if they don't, there's going to be a lot of Razorback nuggets sold in Fayetteville this weekend.
Even in that win in Oklahoma, I did not think the offensive line for Ole Miss played well.
They haven't.
I thought they got beat up for 4 quarters. Guys, I like the scary matchups. Go ahead and bring mine up. This is one game I'm looking at.
Oh, wow.
Clemson versus Louisville. Right now, other than Georgia, who has Clemson played? I mean, probably the best team they played, probably Virginia or maybe Wake Forest. You can put that up there. Cade Klubnik right now in the Heisman talk as a finalist, playing great.
Sneaky.
Louisville. All right, this team about Louisville, I think we all question the defense is not great at Louisville, but they're a type of team, no matter what defense you put on the field, they're going to put points up. This game is at Clemson. I think right now, how much do we really know about this Clemson team? Dabo Swinney throughout the entire year got criticized. Didn't do enough in the transfer portal. Didn't do this, didn't do that. Right now, everything's looking pretty good for Clemson. Jeff Brom, Louisville, Tyler Show, Brooks a receiver, a pretty good running game. Right now, this is a scary matchup if you're Clemson and you're walking into this football.
Well, what would scare me about this if I'm a Clemson fan isn't what Louisville has done this year. It's what they possibly could do with their personnel. It's kind of the unknown. You mentioned Tyler Shough. He has the capability and ability to do multiple things, right? If you look at this Clemson defense, I still feel like that's the strength of this team. Right, Peter Woods, Barrett Carter, the guys they got running around. They always got a white safety that's just absolutely putting his face in it at all point in times. But I feel like Louisville's athleticism, even without Lacey, right, who's redshirting after the injury, who was their most dynamic guy, ran the kickback against Miami. Even without him, I think they're athletic enough to make plays against Clemson, right, when the play breaks down or design plays. I'll say the same thing about Clemson's defense that I said about what Auburn has to do against Vanderbilt and what pretty much everybody has to do, but sometimes it matters more. 3rd and 9 for Miami, I think, is different than 3rd and 9 for Louisville when you're playing them. So getting them in obvious passing downs where you can let your 4 dogs on that defensive line go eat, I think how much do we really, and I've said this multiple times on this show, I feel like Clemson is a more complete team than Miami. I really believe that, but I'm not 100% sure of that because to Blaine's point, who has Clemson outside of Georgia really played that makes you go, okay? Like, I watch Clemson run around. I watch Klubnik. I watch Brian and Stool. I watch some of the young guys they got at wide receiver, and we know they got freaks on defense. I know they have the ability or the capability to do it. I just haven't seen them do it against a great team. But I could say the same thing, really, and win the game about Ohio State. I know Ohio State's got really, really talented players. I could say the same thing about Texas. I know Texas has really, really talented players. But you haven't beat anybody. You haven't beat anybody that's equal to you or better than you. And I think Louisville, if they play their best game, could be close to Clemson, at least compared to who they
you remember that Miami game. I mean, Louisville lost 52-45. I don't think that's going to be the score of this Clemson game. But, I mean, you got to think about it. And the one team Clemson did play that is good is Georgia, and you got beat by 30. It'd be different if you lost a game by 10 points. But other than that, have you looked better? NC State, disappointment. Florida State, disappointment. Legitimately, the best team you've played this year is Virginia, and you gave up 30 points.
Well, I do think Clemson looks right now to be more balanced, certainly, than Miami. But the most balanced team doesn't always win. Look, Colorado's living proof of that right now.
That's true. Well, you go in a game and turn the ball over 4 times.
Yeah, true.
Or something happens.
True. Or, I mean, we're just seeing scenarios around college football, not so much in the NFL, but around college football where a couple dynamic athletes can make the difference on one side of the ball, even though that doesn't give you the best chance to win.
Well, we want to know what is the scariest matchup you think. Do you agree with one of us? Is there one that we haven't hit? I want to get to the chat, Blaine, and see what they're saying right now.
Let's go to Kyle Reynolds. What's up, Kyle? Do you think watching Arkansas this weekend against Ole Miss will give us an idea of how Ole Miss will look against Florida? Similar style of quarterbacks.
I think we know who a lot of these teams are by now. Like, I would be surprised if a team started to look different. That doesn't mean you don't continue growing or you don't continue evolving, whether that be evolving in a good way or a bad way. But I feel like I know who Ole Miss is. And it's unfortunate because Ole Miss and Tennessee, similar to some extent, and then LSU the reverse way. When you look at Ole Miss, you're like, God, if they could ever just get a defense, like a deep defense, right? A one that is good enough to let the offense do what they normally do, they could win a championship. And finally you get it. One day below break cage and he get this. But your offense, where's the creativity? Where's the fun? I know that Trey Harris is hurt, but all I heard was you guys had more weapons than Crain coming into this year. But where is the fun? Where's the Lane Kiffin throwing the clipboard up in the air? Where are all these dialed up plays that we're used to seeing Ole Miss where they're just getting chunks and chunks and chunks like that, the short fat kid who does the boom with the cookies? Like where are those at? I say the same thing about Tennessee. Tennessee's waited all this time. Their offense has always been fire. Man, if we get a defense,
Yeah.
But I believe in Tennessee's offense right now more than I do Ole Miss. And then LSU, all we said was, man, if they could get a defense, just a semblance of a defense, this team will be damn good. And then you do, and you see kind of the offense a little bit lagging. Not that it was ever going to be as good as the year before, but I think we know who they are.
$2 donation from the Alien. He says, Miami is due for a loss. Feels like Duke money line.
That's a scary one. We talked about that one being a scary one. That one's at Miami, though, right?
Yes, it is. Duke is going to Miami.
That kept me from picking it.
Do we feel like Duke, when it comes down to it, has enough athleticism defensively to be able to actually stop Miami without Miami stopping themselves by either turnovers, penalties, or just rolling their helmet out there? Then on the offensive side, like Malik Murphy, and Duke's got some guys that can do some things.
Shout out Manny Diaz.
Yeah, I think Manny's done a really, really good job after Elko left to go to A&M. I think that's a low-key scary game. Guys, and somebody may have said in the chat, I think it's a scary weekend for Indiana. Going to Michigan State.
What's the health of the quarterback?
With Rourke, I think he's going to play.
Okay.
At least what I've seen.
What would it take for people to start believing in Indiana? Because do you think that 7.5, even at Michigan State?
The question is, I don't think it's believing in him. It's what level of belief do you have in Indiana? Like, where do you think the ceiling is? You think the ceiling is possibly winning the Big Ten, possibly beating Ohio State, making the playoff, maybe winning a game or two in the playoff? Or is it like, man, if they can just get to 10 wins, I think believing somebody can win a game as opposed to believing somebody can make a conference championship and win that, or make the playoff and win a game in there, there's two different things. I'm not putting a ceiling on Indiana. I'm not. I won't do it because I've watched him play. And I know Rourke is hurt, and he needs to be – the Taven Jackson kid does some good things, but he's not who Rourke is. I look at this Indiana team. I think they have good enough personnel, and they're so well coached, and they play complementary football, guys. 3 phases together. They're one of the few teams in college football that pretty much every weekend I've watched, I'm like, I tell you what, man, that offense always shows up. That defense always shows up. Their special teams are solid. And that could be the underlying factor in who makes the playoff and maybe advances some in the playoff for a team like Indiana.
You know, another thing to consider in the Duke and Miami game is Miami Diaz was a coach at Miami.
Yeah.
He got fired from Miami. Not that can make up for a whole lot of deficiencies on the field, certainly not if you play poorly.
Help Tennessee against Oklahoma.
What Josh Heupel went to Oklahoma. Those players showed up for him after being fired from there. So that's one thing to keep in mind.
$2 donation from Tyler. This is a good point. As a Canes fan, trust me, guys, every game is terrifying.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
I know. All right, one more.
Let's go to Charles Schwab. What's up, Charles?
Charles Schwab?
Schwab.
Oh, I was going to say, Charles Schwab's in here? Why don't you donate?
Charles Schwab says Ohio State lost by 1 point on the road and Clemson lost by 33 in the neutral site. Not the same thing.
Loss is a loss, man. Loss is a loss. What, is Ohio State, y'all are taking moral victories now? That's what Jim Harbaugh did to y'all? Now it's, we lost, but it was only by a little bit. When it comes down to it, a loss is a loss. Now, we can talk about who you lost to. And when you look at Oregon and Georgia, those are 2 quality. If there's such thing as a quality loss, that's it. But Ohio State, you spent $20 million to build this roster, and you're going to come tell me how great your loss was against Oregon? Boy, times have changed in Columbus, Cone.
Well, somehow, some way, it is Jim Harbaugh's fault. Somehow, some way.
That is true. All right, I lied. One more.
All right, let's go to CD. He says, do you guys think Genty will have to break Barry Sanders' rush record to win the Heisman? Or do you think Travis will win it, being an absolute stud on both sides?
Boy, breaking that record would help.
It would help a lot. I still think Boise has to make the playoff.
You think so? Even if he breaks Barry Sanders'
I think they have to make the playoff. I really think there's like a couple things that have to line. It's like looking at the election right now. You're like, what states have to line up for this to happen or that to happen? For Genty, I think like 3 things have to line up for them to be able to do it. But speaking about lining up, people are lining up to get their Good Ranchers. Now, you can get it obviously sent to your house. It's probably the best way to do it. You just walk out to your door and grab it. But there's a reason for that. I know a lot of y'all are out there tailgating. We got Thanksgiving coming up, guys, and they've got a presidential promotion right now that it's borderline stealing is how good this deal is. So don't miss out, all right? Every time, or when you order, subscribe to a box. Now, I do the Butcher box. You can mix it up. They got a lot of different ones. When you subscribe to one of the boxes, you can claim your presidential promo when you use code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, at goodranchers.com today. What is the presidential promo, you may ask? Well, it's worth over $1,200. That used to be a mortgage payment back in the day, and it's going to bring 100% American meat to your family meals until 2028. So when you do it, what is the add-on that you get for free? Well, you can get plain chicken breast, Angus ground beef, my personal fave, Applewood smoked bacon, or wild-caught salmon in every order for 4 years. And when you use that code BOOSTER, you'll get an additional $25 off your first box and free express shipping. That's goodranchers.com. Use promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER. Goodranchers.com. American meat delivered.
I've had Good Ranchers ribeyes back-to-back nights.
Dude, I've eaten so much Good Ranchers and I haven't gotten tired of it for a couple reasons. 1, because it's quality. And 2, because their portfolio is so diversified. I mentioned the salmon, right? Whether it's chicken, whether it's steak, I'm telling you guys, give them a chance. GoodRanchers.com. Use that code Booster. Take advantage of that presidential promo as well. Let's get into a little rapid fire here, Dave, before we get off my lawn and get on these calls.
Rapid fire. First one up. Tell us about this coach who got fired. Was it a high school coach?
Yeah, from a high school coach in Kentucky. And you can, I reposted the video on X. We didn't want to show it here because it does have some pretty, explicit language in it. He's giving a speech to his team. I believe it's before a game, and this is in high school. And he's using F words. All right, he says GD one time, so he's resigned now because somebody, and I don't know whether it was a player or whoever, was filming him talking to his team before a game. And there's multiple things here that I want to make sure and point out. One is I listened to that, and that was actually somewhat of a dialed down, even in high school, pre-game speech from a coach. If you've ever been in a locker room and you go watch this video, there's going to be a lot of, yeah, that sounds about right, or man, that wasn't nearly as bad as what I thought it was going to be. Why would you resign over that when you're talking to high schoolers? That's the first thing. Now, I had an old school high school coach. He would say some things. It would get you fired up, but if anybody ever found out about it, it would be crazy. My second thing is, it blows my mind that a coach can resign because of using expletive language, right, in a pregame speech. That makes you resign in the locker room. We'll let dudes go into women's locker rooms. That's totally fine. He'd have probably got a promotion if he would have done that. But the last two things, one, whoever was recording that, I'd want nothing to do with you. Whether it's a player, whether it's a coach, what type of person records their coach giving a pregame speech and then leaks it because he cussed? That's one of the reasons that I'm scared China may beat our ass in 20 years because we got kids like that running around. That's what scares me. And it wasn't was it the smartest thing to do for the coach to say that? I think it was somewhat foolish, a little bit, but do I have a problem with it? No. It's just the softness of our society, man. Shame on whoever videoed that. And, karma is a you-know-what. Right? But it blows my mind how soft we are, even in athletics nowadays. And, I thought the speech was just part of it, man.
I have two questions. Was this a Christian academy, and were they losing?
I think it was before the game. It may have been at halftime.
No, but I mean, are they is he losing as a
coach? They're struggling. Their team's struggling. And he was pointing out one of the reasons we're struggling is because we don't effing do this. Or we don't finish drills in practice.
They proved him right.
Yeah, it's just, and second, even if it's a Christian school, dude, I went to a school with a lot of Christians. It wasn't a Christian school, but our coach said the F word. I've clinicked with high school coaches.
Here's some of the things that have gotten said to me in
it's insane.
Even in college locker rooms, NFL locker rooms. Mike Leach locked a guy in the closet.
That's
for a day. They'd have sent him to Rutgers Island, right? Whatever the hell it's called. This is just so soft to me. It's a locker room, right? What happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. And you can get fired for cussing? Thank God I got out of the game when I did, or they'd have cooked me.
Even in high school, where I went to high school, Opelika, it was win the game. Nobody cared, but nobody would have ever thought to film the coach. That thought would never, oh, mommy, coach is saying bad things about me, mommy. I'm going to film him and send it to the superintendent. At least, I'm not going to say this, but something used to happen to people like that when I was growing up. That's
probably not a starter. Probably not a starter.
No, I would guess not a starter. I don't. That's so soft. It makes me sick. Honestly.
All right, next one up here. The Jets hosting the Texans tonight. Stephon Diggs, is he out for the year now?
Yeah, he's done.
Non-contact
injury.
For his ACL, I believe.
ACL.
Tank Dell. Nico Collins out.
Yeah.
How long is Nico going to be out?
He's on IR, too. I think he's not coming back till week 14.
Okay.
How do you feel about this? I know we're going to get to bets at the end. But
Jets favored right now.
In general, the game?
The game, do you trust the Jets? I just can't trust the Jets.
Well, I trust neither of these teams right now. And the reason I don't trust the Texans is because they're so banged up on the offensive side. I mean, you have Joe Mixon and Tank Dell and I think Dalton Schultz. I mean, those are going to be your three go-to guys right now. And sooner or later, the Jets got to figure it out. I mean, they have to. That loss against the Patriots.
Well, you're 2-6. It better be sooner.
Is a bad football team. Drake May got hurt in that game. But you bring Devontae Adams in. You have all the weapons on offense, and we've talked about it. The biggest letdown has been the Jets' defense, especially the front seven. Quentin Williams is back healthy. You brought a lot of pieces back. You lost one big piece.
Secondary's being pretty deep.
Yeah, and you lost one big piece at end, but there's no excuse for what's been going on against the Jets' run defense. I mean, they have to pick that up, especially in this game, because the Texans are going to lean on Joe Mixon.
Oh, for sure.
They're going to play a game, and they got their running back. What's that kid's name from Florida last year? Played great at the Texans. Had a big run. He graduated from Florida. I can't remember.
Dameon Pierce?
Dameon Pierce is back, and he's their 1-2 right now.
Schultz is good at tight end.
And it's deadly. So right now, I'd probably take the Jets because it's a home game, but I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll see. All right, last one up here. You had a graphic. You were talking about NBA viewership.
Yeah. Do we?
This year so far.
Could we thought that? Do we have that tweet back there, Justine? Let's see if we can pull it up about the NBA. All right. So we don't have the graphic, but I can read it to you right here. It's NBA viewership, and we don't talk a lot. It's funny. It kind of coincides to why we don't talk about the NBA when you look at this viewership a lot, but. Adam Silver, to me, I think he's an alien. Y'all can say what you want. I know people believe in aliens, some don't. But when you look at the viewership of the NBA, and I think I saw Nick Wright was talking about this the other day. If I can find this tweet, I don't know why we don't have it back there. I sent it in the group. It's basically talking about, here it is. The viewership of the NBA has been declining. ESPN's opening doubleheader averaged 1.6 million viewers, down 42% from 2023's debut with Victor Wembanyama. The Bucks vs. 76ers, 1.71 million viewers, down 2.5 million for Celtics versus the Knicks in 2023. And I thought Nick Wright made a really good point. How is your viewership? The only way your viewership is getting worse when your talent is getting better is because you are doing something wrong. And I think a lot of it with the NBA, how much of it is already baked in, David, that people are like, you guys get so political and it leans to one side. I'm just not watching. Like, how do you get that back? Because if you can't get that back with the level of talent with Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren and like the freaks that are running around the NBA and who the Celtics had, how are you ever going to get that back?
I talked to a couple people that worked for the NBA a few years ago. They said the strategy to get that viewership back is China. Right? Like, well, we're just going to grow so much in China and overseas, and India too is another strategy they have, that, we're going to be fine. Clearly that graphic you're showing is not fine.
If they said, David, we're firing Adam Silver today. We want you to be the commissioner. What would the first thing you would do? Go on TV. What would the first thing you would do?
That's a good question. I haven't thought about it till this moment, but certainly, I would go and talk to the stars of the league and the coaches of the league and have a meeting, like the guys like Greg Popovich, who are coming out and always so openly political, and Steve Kerr is openly political, and Doc Rivers this week came out making a statement. Obviously, this is very charged right now because we're dealing with an election, but Steph Curry and LeBron James, all these players, I would go meet with the stars, just like David Stern used to go meet with Michael Jordan back in the day, and pick their brain and say, guys, this is not working. This is not working. Do you actually care about the future of this league? What are some ways that we can make you happy, but at the same time ensure that the league is successful for decades to come? If you can get them in a room, maybe it would be a futile effort. I don't know, because it's just gone so far off the deep end. That's probably the first thing I would do.
Blaine, if you talk to him, and me and you are pretty much aligned, if I went in there and talked to him, like, listen, I'm not going to tell you what to say. I'm not going to sit here and say shut up and dribble on one hand and then say, oh, Nick Bosa in football, did the MAGA habit. That's okay. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say this is a business thing. It is hurting our business when you guys do this, whether it's right, whether it's left, or whatever. So I'm not going to tell you what to say. This is America. You can say what you want. But you are hurting our ability, which includes you, it includes me, it includes the coaches, it includes everybody involved, to make money when y'all do this. The second thing I would do is I would say we are going to have an American flag on every single court in the NBA that is visible on the hardwood. Not a literal one, but one that's painted on. And I'm going to come out as the new commissioner and apologize for what has happened and say, I want the NBA to be for all Americans. What's happened in the past is the past. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care who you want to win the Senate or win the House. We just want to make it fun for everyone to watch the NBA again. And we make this commitment to you that we're going to be more down the center, and it's going to be about basketball. That's what I would do.
I agree with both of you. You have to make it about basketball. And the reason you're losing younger viewers is because you're making it so political. Mm-hmm. Like, kids just want to play basketball. Grown-ups just want to play basketball. I don't want to care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, a liberal. I just want to see a basketball get dribbled and go into the hoop.
Yeah.
And then just for the flip side of that, if those stars of the league and those coaches say, no, it's more important for us to use our voice and to speak up because the social issues we're talking about are more important than the game of basketball, that's fine. Then you have to make less money. See, that's the problem right now. They're living in a world where their actions have no consequences. Their salaries, the stars of the league and the head coaches, their salaries keep going up right? Because they haven't had to deal with the consequences of the numbers you just put up.
How do you enforce that? How would you enforce that?
Well, I don't know if I'd want to enforce. I don't want to be, like you said, I don't want to be a commissioner who tells guys they can't go up and speak their mind, or who tells Nick Bosa he can't run out on the field and put the MAGA hat. I just want to have an open conversation about this is what this is doing. If it's so important, then you guys are going to make less money. Is it that important?
And not only the players, but you have to control the media. Media's half the problem, too, because even after games, it's just nothing but political question, and that's half where the damage comes in anyway. So not only the players, but you'd have to police the media as well.
Yeah, it is going to be tough. But speaking about policing, David, this Thursday, typically we do it on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Right. There's a lawn. And this is so good. I'm so excited to see this because it's so blatantly obvious. David, it's Thursday. All right, we know you're an 80-year-old trapped in a 30-year-old's body. Who on this beautiful Halloween is putting on a costume, walking in there, and G'ing off your L?
All the uproar over Halloween costumes needs to get off my lawn. That's right. Yesterday, former NFL player Ryan Clark put on a white-faced mask and allegedly went as Coach Bill Belichick for Halloween. And I say allegedly because I'm still not convinced this isn't light-skinned Donna Brazile. Now, this is the same Ryan Clark that frequently addresses racial topics on his podcast, including the time when he was deeply offended that comedian Andrew Schultz made a joke about black women, even saying that the comic got too comfortable and doesn't have a right to talk about such things. See, I was unaware that anyone in the world needed former football player Ryan Clark's permission to talk about anything, just as he shouldn't need anyone's permission to dress up as Coach Bill Belichick. I really don't want to speak for all Caucasians, but I will do so anyway. 0 white people are offended by this. No one cares. The only reason it's brought up is to point out the ideologically inconsistent double standard. Like this comment here from Benjamin Watson claiming harm from whiteface doesn't exist. Well, all I've heard for the last decade are phrases like, my culture is not your costume. Unsurprisingly, constantly accusing people of cultural appropriation has led to a decline in cultural appreciation and in comedy as well. See, 20 years ago, everyone would have joined together in laughing at this costume, just like we did for Dave Chappelle's sketches and Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder and the Wayans brothers, while less funny in White Chicks, still humorous enough. So what changed? I'll tell you what changed. We got soft, and we hid that softness beneath a shell and called it progress, called it political correctness, kindness even. But shaming some people and not others isn't kindness. It's selective punishment. It's simple. Either your actions are designed to be hurtful or they're not. And I hate to break the news, but some things can be funny and offensive at the same time. So with that said, I will be dressing up as Luigi tonight so that my son can be Mario and my daughters can be Princess Peach and Toad. And if there are any Italians or monarchs or fungi that take offense to that, then you can get off my lawn.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect, David. This to me is the double standard at work. And then you have people say, oh, well, you know, you look back at the history of slavery. Well, let's look back at the history of all slavery. Where white people have been slaves before. Like, go back if it's not just something that happened in the United States. I think some people are so historically ignorant. They think that slavery was invented by the United States. Like, so therefore, you can't do anything.
Invented by the United States?
I seriously think some people think that.
Can you bring up the picture while he's talking?
I didn't even know he dressed up as Bill Belichick.
Yeah, bring up the picture.
I thought this was Megan Rapinoe.
No, it does look like Megan Rapinoe. I said it looked like like Robert Kraft and Bloomberg's love child. That's what it kind of looked like.
It's just if Bill Belichick got up there and dressed up as Ryan Clark.
Well, he did after this.
Ryan would be crying.
He did after this. But all he wore was the suit. Yeah. Ryan Clark made nothing else.
And I just love people when rich people complain about cultural appropriation. Wow. Like, you're right. How many days did you have to deal with this? Like, we just need to get to a point where you can dress up like what you want and nobody takes offense. But we've seen this before, guys. There's a reason the Indians are now called the Guardians. There's a reason the Redskins are now called the Commanders. And you know what? Most Native Americans, I mean, they don't care. I would love for them to be the Washington Caucasians. That'd be amazing. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, man, we're the Delaware blue-eyed, brown-haired white boys. hell yeah, let's go get it. I wouldn't take that as offense.
You make such an important point. That's what I was alluding to there. I mean, this claim of cultural appropriation has now led to less cultural representation, like you're talking about. Well, now you can just be something generic, like the Guardian.
Well, it's just so funny. Like, and Ryan Clark was such a good player. And sometimes Ryan Clark says things that I agree with. But Ryan Clark, I think he plays both sides of it just because it's engagement and clicks. But oh boy, goes like back and forth, left and right. Like it's insane. His double standard for people is insane.
Yeah, he literally told the comedian Andrew Schultz that he can't talk about.
These are the people that tell you about college football. They get up there and talk about college football, and then they race bait.
Yeah, then
that's what it is. Like this was dressed up as Bill Belichick. How did this get approved? Who approved this?
This was on the CW, by the way.
This is just insane to me. And we know he won't get fired, no backlash. He'll probably get a promotion.
Yeah, all right, let's go to the chat real quick before we get to calls.
All right, let's go to DL. DL, what's up, man? He says, Bill Belichick, this look is hilarious. I wouldn't do it. Ryan Clark is a prime example of things going both ways. The dude's an absolute clown.
Yeah, he's hypocritical. And I think Ryan Clark is a very smart person. That's what's so upsetting about it. I think he knows he's hypocritical on a lot of this. We see this all the time. Literally, people were saying that Trump is evil because a comedian made a joke about Puerto Rico. But in that same breath, those people be like, oh, well, Biden didn't say that half the Trump supporters were garbage, or that's okay. It's like, we're not as stupid as what you think we are. Like, we're not as big as the place where Ryan Clark, but we're not stupid. I think a lot of these people think everybody's just so stupid, they're not going to know.
All right, let's go to Justin. Justin, what's up? My only issue with this is if someone else did a different race, then Ryan Clark would freak out. You've already seen him do it multiple times.
We all know that.
The first one.
Everybody knows that. All right, one more.
All right, let's go to the guard. He says, I haven't watched the NBA in 8 years. Is Adam Silver the worst commissioner in sports?
It's not good. It's like I said, if they fire him, he'll be the first extraterrestrial fired on Earth that we know of. I'm just telling you, right, the dude's an alien. Like, maybe a good guy. I don't know him. Right, but I really 100% think if you put a gun to my head, Dave, and you said, find me an extraterrestrial, I'm going straight to Adam Silver's spaceship.
Him and Elon.
Yeah, and you'll see.
Not me.
Not you. Elon. I don't think you are. I just think you're a mixture of all the people in one. Because you look like Matt Ryan one day, Elon Musk the next day.
They look like me.
John Leguizamo the next day. But you are a very responsible man.
Yes.
All right, and that gets me to something I want to talk to you guys about. It's health. All right. I know you're out there worried about your immune system, all right, sharpening your brain, keeping your heart and muscles strong. Cobras. Right now, all right, there's a multivitamin that is packed with 33 of those key ingredients, David. All right, David, I think David's almost 7 foot now. He was 6'7" when we started this. We started taking this. I don't know if that's due to the responsible man. I'm not saying that, all right, but it helps. Ladies out there, if you know your man's diet, he's not getting what he's supposed to get, well, it's really easy to supplement it with Responsible Man. Like I said, it's a multivitamin with 33 key ingredients that supports your body. Let's put it that way. And right now, you can take advantage of Responsible Man's fall sale and get 50% off your order or just $19.99 for your first order. Just head over to responsibleman.com. Use code BOOSTER, BOOSTER at checkout. But hurry, it still won't last long. Remember, strong America needs strong men. And strong men start with Responsible Man, Blaine.
I'm strong.
He's strong and responsible.
Strong hand, David.
That's responsibleman.com with code BOOSTER for 50% off. Plus, it's got a nice minty smell.
There's not enough responsible guys out there today.
Hey, those other multivitamins, they smell like they've been kept in like an attic for 30 decades.
Smell like a psych ward.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They really, really do. All right, speaking of psych ward, phone lines are open.
Phone lines are open, and we got people on them. Let's go to Nathaniel in K-Town, Knoxville. Nathaniel, are you a responsible man?
Yes, I am. I took my my pills this morning.
Attaboy. Let's start the day off right.
Hey, use that code BOOSTER, responsibleman.com. It'll make you better looking, too. Rumors are flying.
That's what I did. Hey, guys, I have two quick things and then a question. So the first is the last time I called in, it was right before Tennessee won the College World Series, and I told you that my McDonald's order was LN24 for Lindsey Nelson 24. And the signs don't lie. I might lie about keeping to my diet and going to McDonald's, but the signs don't lie.
Well, that's true. You just got to know how to read them, right? That's the thing. Like, there's a lot of people that I think are psychic out there, but how do you read the messages? Like, what does this mean?
Yeah. The second thing is I delivered pizza here in Knoxville for a while, and in the middle of July, I delivered pizza to Dylan Sampson, running back for the Tennessee Volunteers. And so every time he scores, I annoy my friends by telling them that I delivered pizza to that guy.
What did he order?
Do you know?
It was pepperoni, wasn't it?
I don't remember the pizza, but I do remember that he got wings and like some cinnamon bites.
Good God, I believe
for sure. Season for sure.
Yeah, there's a reason he's balling.
The cinnamon thingy.
The cinnamon mixed with the wings. The cinnamon's the dessert, right? You eat the wings, you get the pizza, then the dessert. That's why it's a complete bag.
And then you run 120.
Then you run for 140 yards in a big game.
Exactly. The third thing that I have is it was very fun to see the Tennessee Volunteers put up 0 points in the first half against the bye week last week. Mm-hmm. My question is, what does Nico Iamaleava? See, I'm messing up the name now.
You're good.
Yeah,
just Nico.
You basically got it right.
Nico Iamaleava, what does he have to do to kind of keep that momentum going? He seemed to pick up some momentum in the second half of the Alabama game. What does he have to keep doing right to maybe have a chance against Georgia here in a couple weeks and kind of take care of business against Kentucky, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, although that's looking more challenging? What does he have to do?
Well, there's two things, I think. One is he's got to make sure he's using his legs when he has the chance. That doesn't mean you rely on them solely, but if defenses are going to run man coverage behind him and he's able to wiggle out of it, he needs to really make them pay on the ground. I'm not even talking about just quarterback design runs like zone read or any of that. He needs to make sure he is using his legs in these games against teams like Georgia's and these bigger games, and all of them really, but in these bigger games to his benefit. The second thing is I think he needs to stay aggressive down the field. I think he needs to keep pushing the ball down the field. Even if he's not hitting them, guys are open. Tennessee has been open it's a 7-11. They're open 24/7 down the field. He's overthrown a couple of them, hit a couple of them recently. It's staying aggressive with his legs and not being afraid to take the shots down the field to really open up this Tennessee offense. And you know, what a breath of fresh air for Tennessee fans that God forbid you do get a little over aggressive early and you throw an interception or you turn the ball over. You got an elite defense to be able to pick. That should give you more confidence in being aggressive.
Well, see, you can say that, but it can almost be the other way around, right? You don't have to be that aggressive because...
Well, they did that earlier. They got their ass beat by Oklahoma. Barely beat Oklahoma, lost to Arkansas.
I mean, they didn't offensively just didn't blow the Alabama out the stadium. I mean, Nico still had to have a 200-yard game passing against SEC.
But he took shots down the field. He wasn't taking in those other... They literally turned around and Nathaniel will tell you, that game against Oklahoma, that game against Arkansas... Right? And you know, you look against Florida, too, I think you can make the case. They turned around and just handed the ball off to Dylan Sampson for most of that game. The Alabama game, he was taking shots down the field. If you watched the game, and I know you did, there was different methodology. He didn't throw for 300 yards, but at least he went after it and he connected on some of those.
Appreciate it, Nathaniel.
I literally said, praise the Lord when he hit the big shot
I know, right?
down the field there to kind of give us some momentum there early in the second half against Bama.
Definitely. Thanks for the call, Nate.
All right, let's go to Chris in Georgia. Chris, what's going on?
Hey, Chris.
Yo, what's up, fellas?
What up, man? What up?
How's it going? So I just have a quick thing before I ask a question. So I'm a Bears fan, so I have to just speak about what the heck happened in that game on Sunday. I was watching that game, and it was an interesting game. Obviously, defensive battle, and our offensive line played like crap again. But
should have won.
It felt so good. Yeah, I mean, it felt so good. And Caleb Williams drive down the field and throw that touchdown or get that touchdown and put us in position to win that game. And then that freaking moron on our defense decided to screw the whole thing up at the end. But if you're Matt Eberflus, I mean, you gotta. What do you do? Like, how do you respond? Like, not just I didn't see his press conference after the game, but how do you respond? Like in practice that next week, like to get your guys back on track.
Chris, let me ask you this, because this is a question that's based in reality. You can't just go off and make a rash decision. You've got to look at the circumstance. How valuable is Tyreek Stevenson, who's the player you're talking about? How valuable is he to the Bears, you think?
I mean, I hadn't really even heard his name for this week.
So to me, if he is valuable to the point where we have to have him, there needs to be repercussions, but I'm probably not kicking you off the team. If you are not, if your value is to the point where it's great we have you, but we don't need you, I would have cut you the minute I saw that.
To send a message?
To send a message. Yeah. Because to me, the worst part about what he did was that your coaching allowed it to happen. Because there's a saying in coaching, either you're coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. And I thought Blaine brought up a great point, you know, when we talked about this the first time, is that now if I'm his position coach or I'm the coordinator, now I'm worried because that's a reflection of me. So the NFL operates a little bit differently, but if your value is we love having you, but we don't have to have you, I'd have probably put your stuff on the front door the minute we got back and said, listen, thanks for the memories, even if they weren't so great.
But as a Bears fan, it had to feel good seeing Caleb make that drive there at the end of the game. We're going to see this matchup.
They were on a 3-game win streak.
Yeah, I mean, hell.
Well, that's what makes it hurt even worse. You did all the hard things. You overcame all the hard things to get to that point, and then you blew the little thing. Like, that's what hurts.
Who do they have next? Cardinals?
They're at the Cardinals.
Yeah,
they're at the Cardinals.
Yeah.
You're that Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams matchup for the future is going to be.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Great call, man.
All right, let's go to Sasha in Austin, Texas. Sasha, what's going on today?
Hey, boys. First off, happy birthday, Jake. A little early.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate level 35 this weekend. Everybody's jacked and tan about it.
You know, it's good. Make sure you get the Z-Biotics a double shot on Friday night so that Saturday you're ready.
That may already be in the works, Sasha. It may already be in the works.
All right, so I mentioned this a little on the All Access Live, but Jake, I've got to disagree with you about those neutral site games from yesterday.
Okay, why?
And not all neutral site games, but like the Texas A&M Arkansas neutral site game that's in AT&T Stadium in Jerry World is a fantastic opportunity every year for the home team to bring in recruits, and they specifically do it from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And these recruits are getting to play in the NFL stadium. It's what they're looking forward to. It's what they see. And it's their ability to do that. And so the team gets to be able to do that. And it goes through and it makes sure that Texas OU that plays in Dallas every year doesn't just get a market on those recruits. And that was why Jerry, who is, you know, an Arkansas alum, wanted to bring in Arkansas to do that to help out his school, and it helps out A&M as well.
Well, and Sasha, look, I think there's a logical, argument to be made for neutral site games. I mean, I already pointed out, I think they should be outside of the Texas-Oklahoma game, which is at the State Fair. And there's a difference between the Florida-Georgia game that's been in Jacksonville, that's now going to Atlanta, that's then going to Tampa, that hell, will probably end up in Sweden before it's said and done. They don't have recruits that you're not able to use that like a recruiting weekend, a home recruiting visit. My problem with it is, so wow, I'm sure that Jerry Jones, probably doesn't care about any of the money that gets made about that game being played there, too. Like, he gets a cut of money, too. He's not doing this out of the kindness of his heart only. But to me, I would rather, if I really loved Arkansas, I want that money for Fayetteville. I want that, if I really love A&M, I want that money for College Station. To me, it's an even bigger slap in the face, because if you look at Texas and Oklahoma, where do they play their game at? At the what?
State Fair.
The State Fair in the what? Right? A stadium that's not an NFL stadium. Right? So, to me now, you're going to a neutral site, playing in an NFL team stadium, right, that has all this money in this big city as opposed to doing it in a small town. To me, it's more economical, right? Coming from a small college town. And then also, as a former coach, I want that recruiting weekend for us alone. I don't want to share it with you. I'm not polyamorous or whatever when it comes to recruiting. I want my recruits there to see us calling the Hogs in Fayetteville, not going to a house party in Arlington.
So you don't share it. You only get to bring recruits if you're the home team.
See, again, that's
who the home team is.
I get that, but then if you're Jerry Jones,
Florida Georgia isn't the same.
Well, if you're Jerry Jones, if your argument, Sasha, is that he cares about Arkansas so much, he wants them to be able to bring in recruits, then Arkansas should be the only one to be able to bring in recruits. Because if you really want recruits to go to a place, you don't bring their ass to Arlington. You take them to Fayetteville, where they're going to be for 4 years, my friend. And if you're going to do the home and home thing, that's the way it would work out anyway with the recruits. You bring them into your place, then they go to their place. You bring them into your place, then they go to their place. Because if I'm moving into a house, I don't want to go to somebody else's house for them to tell me how great it is. I want to go look at the house for myself.
So, Sasha, is Arkansas, Texas A&M, is that going to be in Jerry's world for the foreseeable future? Is that permanent?
That's my understanding. That rivalry was set up as the Southwest Classic from when they both played in the Southwest Conference, and Arkansas was in the SEC and A&M was in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And they set that up as just that out-of-conference matchup. And when A&M came to the SEC, they did 2 years of home and home before they went back to Jerry World.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And Sasha, there is 2 things. I know we agree on a lot of stuff, but I think there's 2 things we can definitely agree on. One, Salt Lick Barbecue is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then number 2, and most importantly, college football's got much bigger fish to fry before we get to the neutral game problem.
True.
And number 3, I need some more of that barbecue.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Sasha. You'll be proud to know I'm going to put some of that Salt Lick in my chili tonight.
Everybody else in Salt Lick too.
Yeah, Blaine's address. You just draw a stick figure with a gun.
It's just like mine's weird. Like you got to get it sent to another place, and they lose it on purpose and have to physically fight somebody. So just send it to Jake.
Living in an apartment.
Yeah, I know. So just send it to Jake, so I'll come get it and bother him.
Send it to mine, Charles. Send it to mine.
All right, I can manage to do that. Y'all have a great one. And Jake, you need to really address that offensive targeting that A&M had against LSU because it actually happened.
I know the one time, right?
They saw my get off my lawn.
Yeah, they call it once a year, so they say they call it. No, great
call, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the perspective. All right, let's go to Craig in California. What's up, man? Craig, what's going on?
Skyhook. Wonder if California's have one of those rolling blackouts again.
Audio issues. Is that what they said?
Audio issues.
What's going on in the chat?
All right, let's go to the chat. Oh, go to somebody else?
We got Kirk on the line in Canada. Talk about Skyhook. Kirk, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Oh,
Kirky.
It's a great day for baseball because the Yankees are out.
I tell you, I try not to show favoritism on this show, but there's just some things that I just gotta when I get a chance to kick somebody when they're down, I gotta go full.
It just sucks, man, because it shouldn't be like this right now. It shouldn't be like this, but the only people you can blame are the social media people at the Yankees.
It's not every day a Canadian can call up and say the MVP's from Canada. I think.
Yeah, look, Freddie Freeman's an American. Kirk, we can all get behind that.
He's got dual. I'll take everything I can get, buddy.
Hey, no, listen, I respect that. I really, really do.
Hey, another great get off my lawn. Keep the get off my lawns coming. Love it, David.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Hey, man. How's the weather up there, Kirk? How cold is it?
Today is plus 22, which is, I don't know, 70 something.
It's 70s, and you live in Canada?
Yeah, well, yesterday it was about 40, so yeah.
God, is Greta Thunberg right? God, I'm going to have to eat crow on that. No.
I don't know, dude. I saw her eating, like, McDonald's the other day.
No, dude, that chick's so full of it. Who listens to that? Like, we listen to a kid about, can you imagine?
Not we. We don't.
Yeah, that's true. We don't.
No,
we don't.
Right.
Everybody's like, who listens to a kid about the weather? Imagine that. That's insane.
That's crazy. Anyway, keep up a great show, guys. Love it.
Hey, Kirk.
Appreciate
you're the man,
Kirk.
buddy. Remember Skyhook.
Connor McDavid. Sounds like he might be injured right now.
Uh-oh.
Craig, call back.
I don't see Craig on here. The next one on the line is David in Tampa. David, what's up?
Gentlemen, how are you on this fine Thursday?
What's
up, dude?
Well, it is Halloween, and in the spirit of the day, I want to tell you guys about the scariest thing that I have ever witnessed.
What was it?
You ready?
Yeah.
So there I was. It was Halloween. There I was with my family watching the Florida football game. Florida football, up to this point in the year 2020, had only one loss, and things were looking pretty good. The two Kyles were looking like the most unstoppable duo in the country. And while the defense was scary in a bad way, the offense was scarier in a good way. And so there we are. We're up. We're beating LSU, and it seems like we are going to get the victory. Until one man named Marco Wilson has had his eyes set on another man's footwear.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was thinking. Was he participating for the shoe throwing Olympics? Did he make a bet to throw the shoe? Who knows? But because of that one man, our season went down the toilet, and we had not been able to recover since. So, some people say they saw ghosts. Some people say they saw zombies. Well, boo-hoo. I saw one man ruin my team's dream, and we have not been able to recover since.
Well, I saw a dragon.
I thought you were going to say dragon, but,
to quote Dr. Evil, who throws a shoe? It's funny, even now, when I see Marco Wilson in the NFL, I still just think about that. Like, all the great plays he's probably made throughout his college and NFL career, every time I see him, I just still think of that. The real question, though, David, and I need a percentage chance here. What are the percentage chances? I don't know why I sounded like a New Yorker when I said that, but what are the percentage chances Billy Napier is the head coach at Florida next year?
Jake, I am going to say 45%.
Oh, God. 45.
That's up.
I would have said 25.
That's way up. From after the Miami game, I would have put it at 5%.
Kirk Cignetti, head coach of Florida.
All right, David. Appreciate you, buddy.
All right, appreciate it, David. All right, let's go to Cody in Arkansas. Sounds like Cody might have a rebuttal to Sasha. Cody, what's up?
Hey, what's up, fellas? I won't take much of your time. I just, with all due respect to Sasha, who called in, because I'm sure there's others that have the same mentality. Let me tell you something. Nobody ever signed to a university because they played at some neutral site. No one said, hey, I want to go to Arkansas because they play at Jerry World one day, one game out of the season. I tell you that. That's number one. Number two, being from Arkansas, I can tell you what recruits players a lot better, and that's winning. They've won one game against A&M in that rivalry. So don't tell me that's a home game. You got to drive 6 hours away. I get that on one level, from a fan's perspective, it seems like it might be a good idea. I can tell you, bar none, it is not even debatable. Quit with these neutral site games, recruit people to your university, get them at home game, and give yourself a better chance to win. That's all I got to say.
Cody, first off, appreciate you bringing the fire.
Yeah,
Second off, I agree with you 100%. If I'm recruiting, you know what I'm going to tell recruits? Hey, guess what? We're going to play a neutral site game. All right, it's going to be in the conference championship.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be in the playoff. Right, because we're going to win it. We're going to go get this bye, and and I don't care if we got to play it on Mars.
Which isn't that a great reward for it?
That is.
Like, is it playing in Mercedes-Benz Stadium? Like, when I grew up, the state championship in Georgia was played in the Georgia Dome. Now, the semifinal was played in the Georgia Dome. Now I think they actually played the final. But you knew you had to at least make it to the semifinal in order to get that reward of playing where the Falcons play.
That's the dessert. But Cody, I agree with you, bud.
Let me add one last point.
Please.
If there's better recruiting, the recruiter says, hey, you come play for me, and in 4 years you go play in Jerry World on Sundays.
Yeah, go play for the Cowboys. No, I'm with you.
Hey, before you go, what's your prediction for the Ole Miss game?
Oh, man.
You're the last caller of the day, so take your time.
All right. Hey, if Taylor Green is hitting on all cylinders and the defense comes to play, man, I'm looking at I'd say 42-37. I like Arkansas.
So a shootout then.
Shootout.
We said you guys could win it 17-10, or
the
you
versatility of the win. But Cody, great call, man. Calling again.
Cody.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the call-ins today, y'all.
All right, great calls today. Tonight, I've decided to bet NFL because this Tulane-Charlotte game. First off, if you want to see an anomaly in college football, I want you to turn on the TV tonight when Tulane plays Charlotte. And I want you to see what Biff Poggi wears on the sideline, the head coach at Charlotte.
Okay.
It makes what Bill Belichick wore look like Gibbs Fashion Week in Milan. That's what it looks like. But tonight, I'm going with the Texans. That's right. I don't believe in the Jets unless I'm flying in one. All right? Then you better believe. So give me the Texans money line at plus 114. Then I'm going to throw you a bone here, Blaine. Are you going to play Tank Dell or are you going to play DeAndre Hopkins on Monday tonight?
Gotta play Tank.
You're playing Tank Dell? I'm giving him an anytime touchdown.
I love that.
Maybe even the first touchdown.
Really?
At plus 155. Nico Collins is hurt. Stephon Diggs is hurt, right? DeMarco or CJ Stroud's feelings are hurt, but not tonight. All right, give me Tank Dell, anytime touchdown.
I love it.
What do you got?
CJ Stroud, his feelings are hurt?
Me and Luigi.
It's
A little bit because he wants to win, man.
Look, the double dog strategy yesterday paid off with Jacksonville State. How about them and the Dodgers? Today I'm going to go Texans +2. Go ahead and give me the couple extra points, -110. And then I'm going to take the Texans TTP over 20.5 at -105. 3 touchdowns. Let's do it.
All right, I love it. I'm a dragon. Bring up my bet. Devontae Adams first touchdown, baby. Come on.
Back on it.
Come on, plus 750, I believe. I've got a feeling. I got a raging clue. Give me Texans and the Jets. A little bit of an over game here. 42.5. I think some points are going to get put up. The Jets defense, not as good as you think it is.
Hey, which way's your clue pointing?
Huh? This way.
Okay. All right, Ace has got a clue. What is it? He's going to go Jets-Texans over 42.5 as well. He's going to be bet buds with Blaine. Then he's going to go Charlotte plus 14.5.
At home.
It's too late. Defensively, they can do some things at home, plus 14.5, -112. All right, let's get to the donos, then let's get ready to go trick-or-treating.
All right, if you donated today, guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Did that go in?
Oh, he made it.
Did you really?
I
$5
apologize for
from
being that surprised.
our boy Binks. The best Halloween candy is candy corn. Plus, the best bets are not Jake's Moneyline parlays. They never hit, and you are in betting jail. Hashtag.
What?
Figure it out, dude.
Binks, I made more money betting in college football this year than you made the last 2 years, buddy.
Reese's is still the best candy, though, right?
Big facts. Big facts.
Anybody who says candy corn is the best Halloween candy, then tries to tell you anything
Be careful, though.
after that, I'm sorry, Binks. I don't
No
believe
candy
buddy.
corn slander.
$5 donation from the Decker. He says, last night got me thinking, Jake, what was more disappointing? Losing the 08-09 playoffs against Prattville or losing the ship to Hoover?
Y'all played in the championship against Hoover?
Yeah, but one was baseball, one was football.
Mm.
I would say, man, it's hard not to say football just because you put so much work into it. And Prattville was like our arch rival. But I tell you what, actually the Prattville loss wasn't as bad because in baseball we beat them in the semifinals to go play Hoover. The one that sucked was when we lost to Daphne in the second round of the playoffs because Reggie Hunt freaked out. That's why.
$5 donation from the one and only Vol. What's up, brother? Appreciate the donation. He says, is Tennessee good enough to win the national championship this year? Nico has to improve and improve quickly.
I think this year they are. I don't think they're the favorite, but at least from what I've seen in college football this year, they are, because I don't know if there's a team out there that's super duper elite that I've seen. And then also, I think this offense can continue to grow into something that by the time we get to the playoff, Nico could have possibly figured out, and y'all's defense is just so damn good.
I'll tell you, Oregon looks tough to beat.
They are. They're going to be tough.
They look tough to beat.
$5 donation from the J-Man. He says, Blaine and David, what's the coldest game y'all played in, and how much did it sting getting hit?
2. One was actually a high school game in Georgia against Marist and Sean McVay, the second coldest game I've ever played in, including all my time at Michigan. But the coldest was in Ann Arbor. I think we played Indiana. I was so cold, I would have stayed in at halftime if they allowed me to.
Every day was so cold. It's to the point now, it's not about getting hit. It's not even about getting hit. It's catching the ball hurts. You know it's cold when you just have to, you can't catch it with your hands. So everything's a body catch. It's like catching it. I think it was 12 degrees in one game.
Did you guys ever have it where you couldn't even button your chin strap?
Oh, yeah, dude.
I couldn't button my chin strap.
When I was coaching in Montana, we played a game that it was so cold and there was so much snow on the ground. I had signed a safety from Florida. It was like the 6A player of the year, but didn't have the grades to go full-fledged D1, so I was able to get him up there. And literally before a game, I'm on the sidelines, we just got done warming up, and he comes up to me, he's like, Coach, I don't know if I can play. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I can't feel my feet. I said, JP, I'm from Alabama. What answer do you expect me to have for you? I don't even know what's happening out here. I can't feel my feet. I can't feel anything. He's like, I can't backpedal. Like, I can't backpedal. It was bad.
$2 donation from Dexter Lawrence. Appreciate it, Dexter. CJ Stroud or Jaden Daniels for fantasy.
I'm going to play Jaden Daniels.
You got to go Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud.
Don't you? It's the only thing is the health. The health with Jaden Daniels.
I sat him last week. in favor of Patrick Mahomes because of the ribs, but he outscored him again.
I think you're right. I think it's Jaden.
$2 donation from Cuse. Appreciate it, Cuse. Who has the scariest mascots in college football?
The scariest?
Scariest? Not the Wisconsin Badgers.
I would say Tigers are scary. Mercer, the Bears. I don't want that. See, I mean, I don't know. To be honest with you, Cuse, that orange y'all got at Syracuse scares the hell out of me. I don't know what he's got going on. Just imagine that thing. Imagine you woke up in the middle of the night and that thing was in your room.
No thanks.
Like, what even are you?
$5 donation from the Sleeping Spartan. What's up, brother? Appreciate the donation. Sneaky game this weekend, fellas. I think we might pull this one
I said that was on the slate for the scariest game of the week. Indiana going to Michigan State. Indiana, everybody's so excited. Everybody's so happy. Kurt Signetti, Mom Spaghetti, right? Vomit on my sweater already. But Michigan State, Childs can have a game where he freaks out, and I really like Jonathan Smith. That one's scary.
Let's go to $5 donation from the Milkman. Appreciate it, dude. Is Colorado good enough to make the playoffs, and do you think they will win the Big 12?
Man, I don't think they'll win the Big 12. They don't play either Iowa State or BYU, and they already have a loss to Kansas State. Mm-hmm. But man, 10-2.
I think they're good enough to make the playoff. I think the better question is, are they good enough to win a game in the playoff? Like, could Shadur and Travis and them? And again, we always talk about Shadur and Travis and them, but it's the line of scrimmage that separated them.
$2 donation from Tim. Appreciate it, Tim. Does Army cover this weekend?
I'm putting them in locks, leans, and dogs. I'm already telling you.
Yeah?
They've done nothing but make me money. I am betting Army. I know it's against Air Force, right? I know that game's going to last about 17 minutes total because they're just going to just run the ball on both sides. But Army's, I'm ride or die, right? And I haven't died yet with Army, so we're going to live.
$5 donation from Jay says Arizona State's mascot has to be the scariest.
That one is scary.
I mean, it is a devil.
That one is scary. But like mine are the more like random ones. Like Iowa State, the Cyclones. God, can you imagine getting caught up in Miami, the Hurricanes? Like, you ever been in like a badass
Tulane?
hurricane? Yeah, the Tulane, the Green Wave.
Mm-hmm.
How are you getting out of that? I mean, hell, even Southern Miss, the Golden Eagles. Is that even a thing? Look up, there's a gold eagle flying around. How big are they? Probably huge.
$2 donation from Chloe. Thank you, Chloe. What are the fellas dressing up as Halloween for tonight?
This is me.
Yeah, you're Luigi. What are you dressing up as, Blaine?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm dressing up.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you're not going to a Halloween party or anything?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
Well, I'm Reed's 30 weeks pregnant today, so we're going to dress up as
chill out.
Yeah, I'm dressing up as a soon-to-be dad and pass out candy to little kids.
Good for you.
Dan Hines says Purdue's dead-eyed mascot gives me the creeps.
Yeah, they're the boiler man.
Yeah.
Like,
don't ever look
ones.
the Purdue's mascot too long in the eye.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the random ones that are scary. Like because a lot of people are bulldogs or wildcats or tigers or whatever. But I look around and I'm like,
Western Kentucky's mascot.
The Hilltoppers. You see, what if that thing creeped up on you?
Scares the hell out of me.
The Hilltopper. Come on, man.
All right, if you donated today, guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Poll. Should candy corn be banned at Halloween?
That's the poll?
That's the poll.
That's the poll.
That's the poll.
I have a counter poll. Should you be banned from the studio?
Okay. How did that one turn
got
no.
Do I still get paid or?
I'm going to say yes, it should be banned. 65%.
No, 100%.
No, 56%.
That's really disappointing.
Yeah.
Good, Booster.
I'm not even mad. I'm actually
We're
really
so lost as a society.
Yeah, we are. Well, that's why you got Crain Company.
Who sent me the candy corn last year? Remember when I was just eating on it?
Yeah.
For weeks?
Send you a bunch of them.
What is it made out of? It's not corn.
Don't ask questions.
No, it's made out of wax. Dude, I really think it's wax with spray.
There's no way it's food. Right?
No.
Is any of the candy really made out of?
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I know what Reese's is made out of: peanut butter and chocolate. Tell me what candy corn is made out of.
They tell me what it's made out of.
What is it made out of?
Made out of tears and broken dreams.
All right,
it's awful. Anyways,
sugar.
Yeah, sugar.
Yeah, wax
it's
sugar.
A cone of sugar.
Like said, I should have dressed up as Mott Stick Stacy. Stop it.
Yeah, and like the chances of me eating any candy corn tonight, we're going. Gone. That was wobbly too. Aaron Judge couldn't have caught that. Did you see the fifth inning last night? Gone.